Alrighty. Good evening, West Michigan. Let me make sure that our audio is working okay here. Alright, sounds good to me. If you guys could just let us know, Jacob is letting us know that audio is okay on Twitch. If you guys are watching elsewhere, you can let us know if things are okay. Also have our stream live on our website right now to finally have that working. So you can watch the stream at westmichiganweather.net/live if you need to. All right. Hope everyone had a good Tuesday. Aaron's letting us know. Thanks for that. It's good on YouTube, and it sounds good on YouTube on my end as well. So audio seems to be coming through okay. So we will go ahead and get started. So we do have impactful winter weather that is expected to impact parts of the area on Wednesday into Thursday. First and foremost, we have a winter storm warning in this pink shading here for Berrien County, and that is what is scrolling along the bottom of your screen there. This runs until 1 p.m. on Thursday. Excuse me. So this runs until 1 p.m. on Thursday, as I was saying. This is for heavy lake effect snow that is expected across the area. We're expecting total snow accumulations of 6 to 8 inches there in Berrien County, with locally higher amounts possible, and winds gusting as high as 40 miles per hour. And what that is going to do is create lots of blowing snow and reduce visibilities. Whiteout conditions are certainly a possibility and will make travel treacherous across this area, especially on Wednesday evening and Thursday morning. And so the Weather Service is recommending that travel be delayed if possible in those areas, especially after about noon on Wednesday. And then, of course, during lake effect snow, we're all very familiar with that here in West Michigan, but during lake effect snow, those snow bands can indeed make conditions highly variable across very short distances. So you can be driving down the road and it can be sunny and clear, and then a couple minutes later, just a mile or two down the road, it can be full whiteout conditions, near impossible travel. So that winter storm warning again is in effect for Berrien County there in that bright pink color in the center of your screen, and those details are scrolling across the bottom of your screen as well. We also have a winter weather advisory, a couple different winter weather advisories in effect as well. We have this first one here in the southwest corner of Michigan for Allegan, Van Buren, and Cass counties. Very similar story here, but just a little bit lower snowfall totals. So between 2 and 7 inches of snowfall across Allegan and Van Buren counties there. Again, similar story there with the difficult travel and the hazardous conditions. This far north, the hazardous conditions are certainly going to impact the Wednesday morning and evening commutes, especially the evening commute. And why the morning commute is impacted here and not so much with that winter storm warning is that we are expecting a brief burst of snow and gusty winds early on Wednesday morning, followed by that heavier lake effect snow moving in. But even that quick burst of snow on Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning, could make for an interesting morning commute there. Bloop, 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 bloop. Jacob is just sending me a message quickly. Winter storm warning shown for St. Joseph County on the crawl. Okay, gotcha. So it doesn't look like our filtering software is working on that scroll on the bottom there. You'll notice that it is scrolling through there, and it says that that winter storm warning is in effect for St. Joseph County. That is for St. Joseph County, Indiana. Okay, so that is for these counties here in Indiana. That is not for St. Joseph County in Michigan. So Three Rivers, White Pigeon, Sturgis, Constantine, Nottawa, Leonidas, you guys are not under a winter storm warning, and in fact, you're not under any winter weather alert at this point. We were getting a lot of questions on social media about why Ottawa and Kent are left out of this winter weather advisory, and we'll get to that in just a second. But that alert crawl on the bottom there is not for St. Joseph County, Michigan. It is for St. Joseph County, Indiana, and our filtering is not quite working on that for some reason or another, so we apologize for that, but we did want to bring that to your attention, and thanks, Jacob, for letting me know. Back to this winter weather advisory for Allegan and Van Buren counties. Again, a similar story. Okay, this is a high-end winter weather advisory. It's bordering on a winter storm warning. And again, winter storm warning in Michigan is typically for 8 inches of snow. This is between 2 and 7 inches, so right on that cusp. Then when we throw in the 40-mile-per-hour winds in there, it certainly could be an interesting couple of days here across Allegan and Van Buren counties, and the Weather Service in Grand Rapids has said that a warning could be needed, but confidence in a warning being needed is not quite as high as they would like it to be, so they have held off for now, but an upgrade to a winter storm warning for Allegan and Van Buren counties is not totally off the table. For Cass County, the National Weather Service in northern Indiana has placed Cass County, Michigan, under a winter weather advisory as well for 2 to 6 inches of snow, with the highest amounts there in western Cass County, with northwest winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour. So if you're west of Cassopolis and west of Edwardsburg, that is where the bulk of your snowfall is going to be. So Dowagiac, Pokagon, M60 there, M51, M62, M152, that is going to be where the bulk of your snowfall is there. So 2 to 6 inches, but those higher amounts are going to be west of Cassopolis there. And then taking a look further north, we have another winter weather advisory for Muskegon, Oceana, and Mason counties as well. This is for the same thing, a very high-end winter weather advisory here, borderline winter storm warning for these counties here, with 2 to 7 inches of snow expected and locally higher amounts possible. And then again, winds gusting as high as 40 miles per hour with significant impacts to visibility and road conditions. And those hazardous conditions could impact the Wednesday morning and evening commutes. Again, they're talking about that brief burst of snow and gusty winds likely early on Wednesday morning to make that Wednesday morning commute a little bit tricky, even though the bulk of our snow is likely going to fall during the day Wednesday and really later in the day on Wednesday as well. So, all right, let's flip over here and get into some of the model data really quick, and then we'll take a look at our snow day prediction. So this is the HRRR model, and we're going to go back a few runs and look at what is known as the 18Z run of this particular model, and we're going to see what it looks like. So we have some ongoing showers and maybe some snow showers mixing in. It's about 7 p.m. right now. If we take a look at radar, we can see those working their way towards the US 127 corridor there along M57 as well. And we're not really seeing that on the HRRR at this hour. So this is 7 p.m. and we've got a little bit of a blur there right on M57. But otherwise, we've got a generally dry picture here. A couple of showers being indicated up here north of US 10 there in Lake County there. But overall dry on this particular model at 7 p.m. And that's not really what we're seeing right now on Doppler radar. So we'll take this run with a little bit of a grain of salt, but overall this should give us a good picture of sort of what we're looking at. And as we move into the evening hours, we start to see more of that rain move in. And eventually this scattered rain is going to change over to snow. And we'll take a look at model temperatures next. This is 2 a.m. and we can start to see we've got the rain changing over to snow there as temperatures fall across our northwest zones as this front and shortwave work through the area. And eventually we're going to see lake effect snow develop. So here's that quick burst of snow, generally confined along the lake shore at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. For northern zones, and far southwest Michigan even as early as 5 or 6 a.m. But as we approach 7 a.m., most of the lakeshore, with maybe the exception of Ottawa County there, is seeing that quick burst of snow that might extend into parts of Newaygo, Mecosta, Montcalm counties as well. And then the flow shifts northwest. We see those winds shift northwest, and we really start to see those really well-defined lake effect snow bands and our typical northwest flow areas really set up by 9 or 10 a.m. We can see a really strong band there modeled on the HRRR, the 18Z HRRR, just offshore of Ottawa, Allegan, and Van Buren counties, really working its way into Van Buren County there, much of central Van Buren County, under a dominant lake effect snow band. Very similar situation up there in Mason and Lake counties as well, possibly into far western Newaygo County. And that lake effect snow really persists through the noon hour. A little bit of a lull there modeled for the northwest zones on the HRRR, but in southern Michigan we see this very, very persistent lake effect snow band through Berrien County and far western Van Buren County for much of the day. We're already at 5 p.m. and that lake effect snow is still there. 6 p.m., 7 p.m. we're still seeing that band. We're getting into the overnight hours and we see this lake effect snow start to return northwest and remain in place across Berrien County and Van Buren counties there. So southwest Michigan is definitely our focus here. But I think this model loop really gives a good indication as to why our inland counties and why Ottawa County is left out of the winter weather advisory and winter storm warning at this point, because they're really not going to see all that much snow. And we'll take a look at our snowfall map as well here in a little bit. But they're really not going to see that much snow. And as we approach 7 a.m. Thursday, we can start to see that snow wind down, especially north. Lingers a little bit over there in Berrien County for a bit longer. And as we get towards the noon hour on Thursday, it's really the end of the event for the entire area. So we'll see a brief lull on Thursday, and then we've got additional snow expected for Friday with some lake effect component to it as well. So we're keeping a close eye on that. But let's look at temperatures and winds as well, now that we've seen kind of simulated Doppler radar, what radar could look like. We'll take a look at temperatures. It got very warm this afternoon for January standards. Not as warm as the other day, but certainly warm. We got into the 40s pretty consistently across the area here, and we actually had a decent amount of sunshine. But this evening it started to cool off rather quickly, and we can actually take a look at current temperatures as well. And let's switch back over to radar for just a second here, and we'll turn on temperatures. We're in the 40s currently, with temperatures starting to fall there across our northwest areas. We're at 41 in Big Rapids, 43 at Ludington. So we are starting to see temperatures fall, 37 there in Cadillac. And that is exactly what is modeled here on our HRRR. And as we get into the overnight hours, we start to see temperatures fall into the upper 30s pretty consistently across the area. This is midnight tonight. And we can see this big pool of cold air working its way across the lake from Wisconsin into northern lower Michigan there around 1 a.m. And that pushes further south, approaching the US 10 corridor by 2 a.m., well into the US 10 corridor by 3 a.m., and starting to approach I-96 by 4 a.m. And what this is going to do is allow for some flash freeze concern to be included with our snow day prediction and for the morning commute in the morning. So we are watching potential for flash freezing for the early morning commute, especially up here near US 10. Some flash freezing concerns could exist up there. But even down here along I-94, we could start to see some flash freezing concerns, especially later in the morning. And again, flash freeze is when we have stagnant rainwater or slush or snow melt, especially on rural roads, freeze very quickly because of these rapid onset sub-freezing temperatures. And those will be into the 20s along US 10 by 7 or 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So very cold, pretty quick changeover from 40s to 20s in just about 12 hours. Right, winds are our other big concern. Not huge, but a concern nonetheless, and that is because those will be gusting along the lakeshore up towards around 45 miles per hour tomorrow, and those are those red colors there. So by 8 a.m. we start to see those winds work into the area, and they will generally be confined to the lakeshore, but we could definitely see some gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour in isolated spots inland as well. But along the lakeshore, really looking at 40 to 45 miles per hour for much of at least the morning tomorrow, and then they start to calm a little bit into the afternoon. But expect it to be quite gusty over there. Can't rule out a few sporadic power outages, and of course, what the big concern with this wind is its ability to blow snow around and create areas of blowing and drifting snow, whiteout conditions, reduced visibility. As mentioned in those winter weather alerts. So it's going to be breezy tomorrow as well. Then we'll take a look at modeled snowfall here on the HRRR. And this will take us through until 1 p.m. on Thursday, which is when that winter storm warning expires. Just keep in mind that this is one run of a model. This is not a forecast. We'll actually take a look at our forecast in a little bit, because I think this is overdoing things just a bit. But you can see why our inland counties and really why Ottawa County is left out of that winter weather advisory, winter storm warning combination we have in place right now. And that is because they are not going to see as much snow. And then we've got a really tight gradient in here. Again, it's going to be confined to western Cass County, really even western and central Van Buren County, far southwest Allegan County, and then all of Berrien County. And then north, it's going to be northern Muskegon County, all of Oceana and Mason County, and then really northwest Lake County. It's really going to be our focus areas. The rest of the area is going to be pretty okay and not really see much snowfall accumulation at all with this particular event. But down here in Berrien County is obviously our focus. We have this band here where the HRRR is showing 15 to 16 inches of snow by 1 p.m. on Thursday. Again, this might be overdoing it a little bit. We'll actually take a look here at our forecast quickly. Let me pull that up. Okay. So that might actually be overdoing it a little bit, but I can confidently say that if you're east of US 131, you're really only going to be seeing a trace to maybe an inch of snow with this event. Along 131, 1 to 3 inches, leaning more towards the lower end of that scale. 2 to 5 inches, again, leaning towards the lower end of that scale for Holland, Grand Haven, Newaygo, Baldwin, Western Allegan, and Eastern Dowagiac. Eastern South Haven, you guys will only be seeing around 2 or 3 inches of snow with some locally higher amounts thrown in there. In these other zones here, so we have this narrow band of 3 to 6 inches here, and that extends from about South Haven or Douglas there, and runs a very thin zone down towards US 12 there. So just east of Niles and then up towards South Haven, 3 to 6 inches, again, still leaning on the lower end of that scale. It's not really until we get into far western Cass County and far southwestern Van Buren County that we start to see those totals really get up there into that 5 to 8 inch range, perhaps even 7 to 10 inches, again, where those localized snow bands were kind of modeled on the HRRR. Wherever those can set up, we could see 7 to 10 or maybe even more, but I'm a little bit hesitant to say that little bit more at this point. I really want to wait and see what is modeled in the morning and what actually starts to happen with Doppler radar. Aaron on YouTube wants to know if there's any ice potential. No, in terms of like freezing rain. We are watching that flash freeze potential that I talked about with those rapid onset temperatures this evening, but I really don't see much in the way of concern for for ice from like freezing rain. But we could see some back roads freeze up, especially up there along US 10 west of US 131. The other area of interest we have is really from Muskegon and north. So if you're in Muskegon, 3 to 6 inches on the lower end of that scale, and that narrow band kind of pushes up there to just west of Baldwin. And then once you get into Oceana and Mason counties is where we start to see those totals creep back up towards that 5 to 8 inch range where that lake effect snow band sets up. We do have a hatch area up here as well where I think there could be some localized totals over that 5 to 8 inch mark, but don't have a ton of confidence in saying that for sure yet. Best point, the best chance I should say for those highest snowfall totals is going to be down here in far southwest Michigan. Hunter on Facebook says they're very icy in Reed City. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that roads could certainly be icy. I think that the combination of snowpack on roadways, and then, you know, with the rain that we have ongoing across the area, and then with those rapid onset sub-freezing temperatures coming in this evening, I think they could definitely be icy. But in terms of ice coming from freezing rain, I don't see that as a concern at all. And I think those icy roadway conditions will really be limited to those rural secondary roadways in places like Reed City, Baldwin, north of Big Rapids, north of Newaygo. I think that is where we will see our icy roadway concerns if they do indeed develop. All right, so with that, let's take a look at our day one school closing outlook. This is also available on our website at westmichiganweather.net/closings with that full discussion. In fact, let's pull that up. That's a better idea. All right, so again, you can go to westmichiganweather.net/closings. We can take a look here. Okay, so we do have a medium risk of school closings in place on Wednesday, and that is, again, from this combination of snow, blowing snow, strong winds, and that flash freeze potential that we've been talking about throughout this live stream. This is really going to be confined to our northwest and southwest zones. And again, like I've been saying, this is a complicated forecast with lots of variability depending on where exactly those lake effect snow bands set up, number one. And number two, will that flash freeze happen fast enough to impact the morning commute? And number three, will the snow that's expected, that quick burst of snow that's mentioned in this winter weather advisory right here, will that be impactful enough for schools to say, all right, we're closing, even though we won't see the bulk of the snow start until later in the afternoon? All right, where we do feel those best chances are going to be, number one is up here north and west of the Muskegon to Reed City line. So Muskegon, Whitehall, Hart, Baldwin, Ludington, all of these areas here. So Big Jackson and Newaygo, Mason County Eastern, Mason County Central, Baldwin Public Schools, Hart Public Schools, Shelby, Whitehall, Muskegon, Reese Puffer. Okay, all these schools through here. You guys have a limited 15 to 30% risk for schools to close. That is one, from that flash freeze risk on back roads like Hunter was talking about, and number two, from that snow and gusty wind threat coming in. Again, the best chance for those flash freezes on back roads is going to be north of US 10, where we see that longest duration sub-freezing temperatures. from about 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. On Monday morning. Again, it's hard to forecast this because schools really have to make those decisions before buses get out on the roads and start picking kids up. And for most districts, that's by 5 a.m. And if it's not snowing at 5 a.m. and we don't have a ton of icy roads, they're not going to cancel. I think the one exception to that down here in Berrien County, I think we could see schools there, and that is simply from the fact that we have this winter storm warning that's in effect down there in Berrien County. School administrators take all of these products into consideration, and warnings just naturally mean more than a winter weather advisory does. And so I think that the one exception, and hence why there's a medium 31 to 50% chance for most of Berrien County, is because of that winter storm warning and the fact that conditions are expected to deteriorate in those areas across throughout the remainder of the day. And they're not really going to improve until after Thursday morning. So I would not be surprised to see the bulk of our school closings, if they happen, down here in Berrien County. I also wouldn't be entirely surprised to see schools open in Berrien County. I think early dismissals are a much more plausible scenario for tomorrow. Students go in, staff goes in the morning, and by noon, conditions are starting to deteriorate, especially across southwest lower Michigan, and school administrators make those decisions to send students and staff home early, again, as those road conditions begin to deteriorate. Okay. On Thursday, we're expecting additional snow days. That forecast is available to community supporters on the same website. I won't give spoilers. Again, this is a perk we offer to our community supporters as a premium benefit, as a way of saying thank you to them for supporting our efforts here. So if you want to check out that forecast, that is available right here on our website at westmichiganweather.net/closings, and you can certainly do so. All right. With that, I will open it up to questions in the chat. And while people type their questions in, if they have any, I will quickly talk about what we're looking at for the rest of this work week. And really that boils down to Friday before we get into the weekend. So what I'm actually going to do is use the forecast discussion from the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids, because it was really well written by a friend of mine at the Weather Service, meteorologist at the Weather Service, and I really like the way that he wrote this discussion. So shout out to him. Shout out to Scott Thomas at the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids for writing this really well-written forecast discussion. So accumulating snow likely Friday as well with a lake-enhanced system. Okay. Again, this break Thursday, we are going to see a little bit of a break on Thursday from the snow and gusty winds. But it's going to be short-lived, and we have another short wave, which is just a fancy way of saying a disturbance, essentially, that's going to spark off some additional weather activity with an associated low-pressure system that moves in Thursday night into early Friday morning with southwest flow expected. And that's going to allow for some instability to generate under or over those relatively warm Lake Michigan waters. We don't have much ice out there, and compared to the air temperatures, the ambient air temperatures, that water is going to be very warm, and so we're going to see some instability generate over there, and that's going to allow for some snow to be enhanced by that instability and actually be a little bit more potent than it would be otherwise. But that'll start early Friday morning and continue throughout the day. And snow here is going to be likely across our area. So we could see several inches of accumulating snow, mainly west of US 131, but we could see, an inch or two across our area regardless. So, and again, really nice job to Scott Thomas at the Weather Service in Grand Rapids for writing that discussion. It was very helpful in our forecasting this evening as well. We really appreciate your insight. So that is what we have going on for the rest of the work week. And then, of course, we could also see some continued activity this weekend and heading into next week. We posted these graphics yesterday. We have winter has returned, folks. For those of you who have been hating this back and forth warm and then cold and snow and then warm again and then cold and snow, winter is back. Our short range, medium range, and long range models all give signal to return to cold, in fact below average temperatures across the area, above average precipitation, and the CPC has a slight risk there in purple for heavy snow from the 20th through the 26th. So that is something we're watching. And then they have a slight risk of below normal temperatures for that same time period. So that's something we're watching as well. So winter is back, folks. And then again, if we have questions, I will leave the floor open for just a minute. But I do want to just take a look at this post and see if there's any unanswered questions here. Lindsay is in the minuscule section, but yeah, cross your fingers if you were hoping for a snow day tomorrow. It may not be as likely as you might think. So, right, bloop 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 bloop. Can I not? Are there any questions here? Hunter was curious about icy roads tomorrow morning. We've addressed that. Any comments in here? Yeah, sorry. So yeah, we were just getting a lot of questions about why counties were not included in that winter weather advisory, winter storm warning combination. And again, we've chatted about that in this live stream. So, all right, I have not seen questions come in. I see people are starting to slowly filter out as we wrap up here. So thank you for tuning in. I am going to wrap up this stream here. Of course, you can leave us comments on our social media posts if you would like some additional clarification on something. So thank you very much again for tuning in.